Welcome to the Principles of Assessment video series. Today, we will introduce you to an alternative history of building performance assessments. It is uncommon knowledge that the historical origins of performance assessment is also relative to time. Today, we will be taking you on a journey of both sight and sound to discover these rare historical elements that make up the great assessment, and along the way, we will make our own historical mark in the cosmic assessment ledger. That's right, we will be making our own performance-based assessment. It is not widely known that Grant Wiggins, author of UBD, his first primitive ancestors began exploring the idea of performance-based assessment long before the advent of public education, and long before recorded history, for that matter. The world's great anthropologists have long suspected that early attempts at performance-based assessment went a little something like this.
Objective. Objective.
Learning.
Objective.
Learning.
Objective. 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 Objective.
How did your identification of learning goals go? Probably much easier than the desperate attempts of primitive man. One can easily assume that this group of early assessment planners met a grisly end. Scurvy, torn limb from limb by saber-toothed tigers, perhaps some uncontrollable diarrhea by a prehistoric parasite. Identifying standards and using a critical framework is an important step to making a solid performance assessment. The next step in our construction is identifying the key performance traits that we want our students to successfully exhibit. A little-known historical fact is that Grant Wiggins' early family were Danish royalty. Many years ago, Grant Wiggins had family that was Danish royalty. You see, his great-great-great-grandmother, Oblia Wiggins, was also part of a family in which her mother and her father were brother and sister. In fact, the name Wiggins means
he who assesses while mourning the loss of his father, while raging against the marriage of his mother to his uncle. Confused? Let's hear from a young Hamlet Wiggins on a recreation of the same meaning.
He who asks.
No, it's assesses.
Okay. He who assesses while mourning the loss of his father and raging against the marriage of his mother to his uncle.
The famous historian Howard Zinn has produced the next historical reenactment of building performance-based assessment, in real historical time for that matter. In this scene, we find a young Hamlet Wiggins sitting atop the battlements, preparing his final assessment by pondering key performance traits. In this famous photo, lunchtime atop a skyscraper, we can see Cornelius Wiggins, second from left. Although perhaps a lesser figure in the rich history of Wiggins' performance assessment, Cornelius Wiggins contributed a key piece of the assessment puzzle: task idea and description. Without task description, the splendid skyscrapers that make the famous New York skyline simply could not have been built. Before his unfortunate 30-story fall directly onto the boiling vat of a hot dog stand, Cornelius would often ask, "What are we doing exactly?" It's a good question. Can you describe this carefully for me, because you know that we are 50 floors up? In our initial steps to creating a robust and powerful performance assessment, we finally arrive at the most essential piece of Wiggins family UBD: grasps. It's rare that we find a family so deeply steeped in historical success and accomplishment. But in fact, Grant Wiggins is an essential part of our history, both in his development of UBD ideas, perfecting assessment, practices, and quite frankly, saving human lives. To illustrate his contributions to humanity, we have recreated a scene from one of Grant Wiggins' earlier careers. Grant was once an employee at a nuclear power plant. It is a well-known fact that Grant's quick actions in development of grasps were instrumental in preventing a similar meltdown on April 1st, 1979 at the now infamous 3 Mile Island nuclear reactor. We are very proud to have this famous American playwright, Sam Shepard, recreating the scene with a script that is quiet and moving in its powerful recreation.
Look at my nuclear reactor. You envy it, right? That's because I had a vision. Grasp. You recognize it when you see it, right? Grasp. I can see that you do. And the grasp, it intimidates you, right? I can see that you're a little scared of it. Grasp. But that's okay, because you're getting older. And I was a lot older when I got a grasp. A goal. A role. Audience. Purpose. Product. Performance. It brings success, like my nuclear reactor.
The unconventional history of building performance assessment is as strange as it is wonderful. Throughout time, the Wigginses have made their mark on developing robust and authentic assessment. How hopefully in our short time together, you can successfully see this in starting your own construction of performance-based assessment. While these are not all the steps in building, we hope that you have put together a strong foundation for the steps to come. A famous Wiggins once said, and I quote, "Thou this be madness, yet there is method in it."